All right, day 3. So today I'll be sharing with you probably one of the probably one of the least known secrets to becoming an extremely effective copywriter. And this is a habit that's going to be fundamental to your success in the rest of the tutorial. So I recommend you pay a lot of attention to this and you take great care to actually implement this practice into your life. Now, what I'm going to be talking with you today is about a concept called deep work. So a while back, there was this academic named Cal Newport, and he came up with this idea called deep work, and he used it to create a significantly increased output of academic work and literary work as an author and as an academic. He wrote a book about it, surprisingly called Deep Work, and this was a pretty foundational book for me. Now, I don't recommend you go out and read it because it can be summed up in this video. You don't have to go and read the entire book as what academics do. He went on and on about a bunch of the cool geeky stuff without actually really, like I said, it can be summarized in this video. Basically, the whole concept is this, that in our modern world, human beings have lost our ability to focus. We're addicted to our phones, we're addicted to TV, multiple tabs, etc., right? And this shallowness of focus reflects itself in the work that we're able to do. The more you're able to focus, the deeper the flow state you're able to get into, the more creative and more effective your ideas are. So most people, when they start copywriting, they fail to address this fundamental problem, and they wonder why they have such a hard time figuring out what to write, or they have such a hard time learning these new skills, or understanding the market, or producing winning copy. And most of the time, it's because they lack the ability to think deeply, because they're distracted, and because they've been bouncing back and forth, right? So when you switch your focus, your sort of the caliber of thoughts that you have, or the amount of mental power you can bring to bear on the subject goes away. Every time you switch, or try and multitask, right? Like if you have Discord up and you're trying to write a page, your attention is going to be split between the two of them, and you're not going to be able to actually have the deep thoughts necessary to create winning copy. So what deep work is this idea of, hey, instead of allowing ourselves to multitask and be distracted, let's turn off all distractions, set them aside. Let's create a duration. Let's set a timer. And for the next 60 minutes, I'm not going to do anything but this one critical task. What that allows you to do is allows you to bring a lot of brain power to focus on creating something new and worthwhile, right? Typically, when you first start out your deep work practice, now, again, this is something I live by. I have at least 2 dedicated deep work sessions of about 2 hours each in the morning, where I am just wired in, focused on the most important tasks for myself. And that's what's allowed me to learn so much so quickly and produce so many wonderful results for myself and my clients, right? So let me explain to you how you get started learning about deep work. So what you're going to do is you're going to start off, I don't recommend you start off trying to work for 2 hours straight without distractions. It will feel extremely difficult for you if you try that. Here's what I recommend you do instead. I recommend you start with 15 or 20 minutes. Turn your phone off, set it aside. That might feel like a big ask in and of itself, but set your phone aside. Generally speaking, if I can't see it, that's a good thing, right? Turn it off, set it aside. Turn off all of your social media, close all your other tabs. Set a timer for 15 minutes and only allow yourself to work on the task at hand for that 15 minutes. You're going to get about 5 minutes in and you're going to feel an urge, probably about the same time you reach the most difficult part of whatever task you're starting, to go bounce off to your favorite social media site. You're going to feel the urge to reach for your phone. That's typically where you know that you're at your sort of bleeding edge of intellectual development and skill development as a copywriter, which is a good thing. You will have to learn to push through that and get used to being uncomfortable mentally and getting used to sort of straining yourself and working hard. So the first time you do it, it'll probably be 15 minutes. As you go on day after day, you'll be able to start adding time gradually to your deep work sessions, so that instead of only being able to work for 20 minutes, pretty soon you'll be able to work for 35, and then 40, and then an hour, and then an hour and a half, and then 2 hours, and then pretty soon you'll develop the ability to stay laser focused on your task, getting into a deeper and deeper flow state as time moves on. So today's task is going to be you sit down and planning out your deep work session. So thinking about, okay, how am I going to set up my workspace? Where am I going to put my phone? Where am I going to turn my computer on? You might even want to run through this with some basic study or some of the basic tasks that you've had so far in the tutorial. Revisit it, practice deep work, think about how you're going to do it, because this is going to be a fundamental habit for the rest of it. People who don't learn how to do deep work don't learn how to think, and they don't learn how to think to the level that they need to be able to persuade someone. Because learning how to persuade someone and creating compelling copy is not an easy task. It's not something you can do unless you are willing to put in the time and focus it takes to learn the skills and to think about it, which thankfully just about anybody can once they overcome the hurdle of our time and learn how to practice deep work. So that's why I've included this so early in the tutorial, because it's going to extremely magnify the results you get as you continue through the next modules.